بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. هذه المحاضرة الأولى طبعا في كورس أو مادة الليتراري كريتيسيزم 1. قطعت شوط يعني في البداية معاكم في الفترة السابقة يعني بخصوص طبعا أرسطوطل بليتو أرسطوطل وهوريس. طبعا في بعض اختلافات بالنسبة لطلاب التربية أو طلاب الآداب، يعني جرعات الزيادة، لكن الآن أنا هتكلم في سير فيليب سيدني اللي هو المحاضرة الأولى عن طريق الموديل. وهذا حتكون طبعا فور بوث طبعا يعني arts faculty and for education. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. طبعا this is the first lecture regarding Sir Philip Sidney and his famous work An Apology for Poetry, which is known as Defense of Poesy. As we know that Sir Philip Sidney is the first man, or with him begins a new era or English tradition and history of literary criticism. Because Sir Philip Sidney is known as a critic poet. Don't forget that Sir Philip Sidney, the writer of To the Sad Moon, and he is known as one of the Renaissance poets of England. In his critical theory as evidence in An Apology for Poetry, he is, borrowing frequently, amending the theories of Plato and Aristotle. So we can say that he is reviving the theories of Plato and Aristotle. But of course, he goes with poetry and defends poetry. So we will say that he is Aristotle supporter or Aristotle fan. So Aristotle, Horace, and few of his contemporaries among Italian critics, طبعا he begins his criticism by quoting from Aristotle that he writes poetry therefore is an art of imitation, for so Aristotle termed it in the word mimesis. So the word mimesis is the imitation according to Sir Philip Sidney. This is to say, representing a counterfeiting or figuring forth. But of course, 8 words later, he adds Horatian note, declaring poesy as chief end to be to teach and delight, like Aristotle. As we know that poetry could have two purposes. One is to teach, another is to delight, to entertain, or to teach and delight. Like Aristotle, of course, Sidney values poetry over history. According to Sidney, poetry is over history and is over law, and poetry, above all the other arts and sciences, embodies truth. So what is important in Sidney? That poetry embodies truth. If we want to search or to go for truth, then we have to go to follow poetry. So to follow poets is to follow truth. Unlike his classical forefathers, Sidney best personifies the Renaissance period when he declares that his literary precepts, طبعا, after ranking the different literary genres and declaring to be instructive, he decrees poetry to excel all. Other genres he mocks. It means other genres, what does it mean? That he mocks tragic comedy. He, for example, of course, and he adds and dictates to Aristotle a tragedy by using unity of action, unity of time, and unity of place. These are known as the unities of Aristotle. The unities, or the concept of unities, it means that we have one place for drama, we have 24 hours time only, so it is known as single revolution of sun. Single revolution of sun means 24 hours. And the unity of action. Unity of action, the unity of plot. That the drama should have one story, not more than a story. If it has more than a story, then it would be a plot and subplot. But here we have only one unified story. This okay. Throughout an apology for poetry, Sidney defends poetry against those who would view it as mindless or even immortal activity. He says that immoral activity. He says that poetry is moral activity. And at the end of the essay, a passionate, somewhat Platicony, as Plato said, inspired poet places a curse on all those who do not love poetry. So a curse will befall on those who do not love poetry. This is, Sydney. Sydney is the champion of poesy, champion of poetry. Echoes of such emotionality, of course, reverberates throughout the centuries in English literature, especially in British romantic writings. Yani, we can see that Sir Philip Sidney also influences or made influences for the coming period or for the coming ages, which was known later romantic revival or romantic poetry. Thanks for following me, and inshallah, next lecture I will go to John Dryden. Next lecture.